So, in today's episode, we are going to go over certifications. Are they needed? Can they help me get a job? Everything in between.
Hey, what's up?
I'm the Coder Kid.
And I'm Mr. Miyagi, and welcome to our show. So, certifications. What are they and where do we get them?
Yeah, so there's different types of certifications, but we're talking about where you go professionally to get them for jobs and stuff. So mainly what we work around since we're in the Microsoft stack is Microsoft has its own certifications.
Right.
And you could just go to the local place to get them, local Microsoft place.
Right.
Also, like LinkedIn, I think has come out with versions of them,
Right.
and then AWS obviously has them.
Yeah.
With
You have Cisco
Amazon.
certifications
Right.
for networking.
So it's kind of like whatever that thing is, you can get it on like through their thing. Like Cisco would be through Cisco.
And really, they're all just they just certify that you are a knowledge expert in that particular area. So if you're trying to get a Cisco system certification, it just certifies that you are knowledgeable in those specific systems.
It basically says I'm knowledgeable enough to get a job doing X.
Right.
So and it says you're proficient in that, right?
Yep.
So
do you think that having those certifications increase your chances of getting employed?
Yeah, so I think it depends. I don't really look at it when I'm looking at resumes and stuff. You could play the devil's advocate and say if there's these two same exact candidates, which never really happens. But you could say if it's this, and this, and then this one has certifications, you probably would take him maybe over. But it never works out like that. I kind of look at the resumes and don't pay much attention because you could get a certification, you can study for a test and get 100% on it, and then you really don't know what you're doing. Based on my experience personally, bringing people in with certifications, they could or could not know what they're doing.
Right, and for me, I think when I look at certifications in general, they're nice to have. Personally, when I interview somebody, I always look to see if they have a certification, but then I also cross-reference it to see if they have some actual work experience once they get the certification.
In that thing.
In that thing. So that helps me determine, okay, they've been certified in this area, but have they done actual work that they've been paid for to that utilize that certification? So that to me, that's my little take on it. If they do kind of increase your chances. I know me personally, I was never a big certification person, but once LinkedIn started offering these online classes that had certificates and certifications at the end, I was like, oh yeah, I want to do these, and it boosted up your online LinkedIn resume. So it does help.
And the LinkedIn ones are kind of quicker, right? They're not as quicker. Like some of these Microsoft ones, you have to study like weeks for.
Yeah, and I don't want to downplay. Complex. Yeah, I don't want to downplay that the LinkedIn certifications are not worth their weight in gold because I've done at least 4 or 5 of them, and they go pretty in depth. Yeah, they do. I mean, but they're not as, some of these certifications that Microsoft offers, like the Azure certification. It's a broad range, but some of these LinkedIn certifications that they offer, specifically, for example, like React. You want to learn React and you want to get a certificate in React specifically. Those things are good, if you want to target specific technologies and things like that.
And just for yourself too, if you want to prove to yourself that you're proficient in this thing, you can't really go wrong with it.
Right.
Like I said, I don't really care if I see interviews, like in interview candidates, if they have them or if they don't. I'd put some weight on it if they weren't into that category. Like, say they come from a support role, and they want to become a developer, and they have these personal projects, and they have this certifications that say they know how to code.
Right.
Like, that could be interesting. I haven't seen someone like that, but that could maybe be like, oh, this guy's really passionate about
Right.
it. He went out and got a certification to
Right.
prove to us that he's capable of
Mhm.
doing the job, even though he has no work experience.
Right.
Like
right.
that would be really cool.
Right, and you know, I know that we plan on touching this in a future episode about boot camps, but you know, do boot camps actually provide certifications once you finish those boot camps?
No, I mean, if they do, they're probably just certifications from that boot camp
Okay.
that you passed.
Right.
Passed the
They'll
boot
pass
camp.
the boot camp.
Kind of
Okay,
like
I didn't know if that. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not from a boot camp background, so
not that I know of. Kind of like a degree would, right? A degree says you got a degree in computer science or whatever
Yeah,
it is,
yeah.
but does it really say anything? I don't.
So
know.
we agree they're good. They're good to have an interview.
They're all right. I don't really put much weight on them. Really, like I don't care if you've got 10 certifications and you come in and bomb that interview. I'm
Okay.
not giving you any benefit of the doubt that you
Right.
know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Because I just think it's a test that you take, ABC, you know, it just seems like, and you could take it over and over, right? You
Right,
fail, you
right.
just pay the fee and you can take it again.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll pass, right? And you may not really know what you're doing in the land of code.
Right.
But there are maybe some, and we'll go into that. What should I get, if any? So, if I were going to get certifications, what is worth it? So, in my opinion, the like C# or Java or programming fundamentals, probably not so worth it. Just from working in the field, you're kind of expected to be proficient in
Right.
programming.
Mhm.
The stuff where I think it's kind of worth getting if you were going to get it is maybe in DevOps stuff.
Right.
Like
Yes.
in Azure, in AWS, like kind of these niche fields.
Right. Right.
Not just programming in general, but kind of this niche stuff. It may be worth getting them, and I know if you're a salesperson, like it's definitely worth getting them because you'll know what you're talking
Yeah.
about when trying to sell.
especially with systems going to the cloud. You know, having a AWS certification or an Azure certification probably is going to help you, you know, in the short term and the long term,
Yeah.
because a lot of companies are transitioning over to the cloud, and they want experts that are experts in that area.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
know, having AWS or Azure certifications will really help. You know, so
Yeah, and
I
if-
definitely believe in them, and I would think
Right,
that
yeah.
that one of those two would be one of the two that you would definitely need.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
if you're gonna have them, just make sure you can also talk about it. Like, even if you pass the test, don't just forget about it.
Right.
Like, no, because in your interview, or like if you get people like me, I'm not gonna care about them, and I'm still gonna act like you don't know it, and I'll test you to see if you do.
Right.
So if you say you have Azure A, B, and C completed, I'm not just gonna assume. I'm gonna ask you, and we'll find out for real if you know what you're doing in Azure.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's all for this video. So, I just wanted to go through certifications if
Yep.
they're needed.
Yep.
Kind of all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think they're good to have. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't lay my hat on it or my future on it, but you know, and like I said, I think that there are some certifications that are good to have,
Right.
and you know, you can go from there. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, let us know what you think in the comments section.
Yeah, definitely.